All right, today we're diving into a really critical moment from India's struggle for independence, but one that sometimes gets overlooked. It's called the CR formula, and believe me, it was a point where the path of history could have taken a completely different turn.
And that's the huge question we're tackling today. We're going to unpack this plan that was designed to solve what seemed like an impossible political problem. A plan that actually brought two of the era's biggest leaders, Gandhi and Jinnah, to the negotiating table for one final high-stakes shot at unity.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll get a handle on the political stalemate of the time. Then, we'll look at the formula itself. After that, we'll see how everyone reacted, zero in on those crucial Gandhi-Jinnah talks, and finally, try to figure out why this really bold attempt just didn't work out.
To really get why the CR formula was even a thing, you have to understand the situation it was trying to fix. We're in the middle of World War II, and India's entire journey to independence has just hit a massive wall. Everything was completely stuck.
You see, the British basically said, look, we're not talking about any real transfer of power until you two, the Congress and the Muslim League, sort things out. They pretty much locked the door and gave the only key to the two biggest political rivals in the country. This put all the pressure on Indian leaders to find some common ground, which, well, was barely there to begin with.
And here's where the problem becomes crystal clear. On one side, you've got the Indian National Congress. Their goal? One single, united, independent India. But on the other side, you have the Muslim League, and they are dead set on their demand for a totally separate nation, Pakistan, all based on this two-nation theory. These weren't just small disagreements. These were completely opposite visions for the future of the entire subcontinent.
So, into this complete mess steps Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, a really senior Congress leader, a close associate of Gandhi, and everyone called him Rajaji. He could see that all the arguing was going nowhere, so he came up with a very pragmatic, step-by-step proposal to try and find a way through the deadlock. And this became known as the CR formula.
So here's how it was supposed to work, and it's actually pretty clever. It was like a chain of compromises. Step 1. The Muslim League agrees to back the main demand for independence. Okay. Step 2. In return, they get to work with Congress in a provisional government. Step 3, and this is the really big one. After the war, let the people living in Muslim-majority areas actually vote on whether they want their own separate state. Step 4 made sure that even if partition happened, important things like defense and trade would be handled together. And Step 5? That was the masterstroke. None of this, absolutely none of it, would happen unless Britain handed over full power to India. It was a genius way to try and get everyone pulling in the same direction.
Okay, so you've got this carefully crafted plan on the table. How did people react? Well, as you can probably guess, a proposal this radical made some serious waves. It's one of those things that ended up pleasing almost no one, which, sometimes is the sign of a real compromise.
And man, the reactions were all over the place. Gandhi saw the potential in it, he gave it his blessing. The Congress said, okay, we're willing to cooperate for the bigger goal of getting independence. But then you look at the extremes, and you see staunch opposition. Hindu leaders like Veer Savarkar called it a total betrayal, basically saying it accepted the very idea of breaking up India. And, most importantly, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, he opposed it too.
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Jinnah's issues with the formula were fundamental. See, the formula said the entire population in the Muslim-majority areas would vote. Jinnah wanted only Muslims to vote. He also shot down the idea of any joint agreements for things like defense. For him, the two-nation theory wasn't just a talking point, it was a non-negotiable fact that had to be accepted, period.
But even with all that opposition, the fact that Gandhi backed it was a huge deal. It pushed the formula right to the top. And this set the stage for a historic, face-to-face meeting in September 1944 between Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The fate of this formula, and maybe the fate of a united India, was going to be decided in these talks.
So as you can see, for 2 intense weeks, these two giants negotiated directly. Gandhi, using the CR formula as his main proposal, was trying everything to find a way forward. But in the end, those fundamental disagreements we just talked about, they were just too much to overcome. The talks collapsed. And with them, so did the hope that this formula could finally break the deadlock. Which brings us to the big question. Why did it fail? I mean, it seemed practical, it had Gandhi's support, it was a real attempt at compromise. So let's break down the main reasons why this last-ditch effort just couldn't bridge that massive divide.
These points really tell the whole story. First off, there was just this enormous wall of mistrust between the two sides. Then you had Jinnah's absolute vision for Pakistan. It wasn't something to be won in a vote that included non-Muslims. And on the flip side, for many Hindu leaders, even talking about a possible partition, which the formula did, was giving away too much ground. It was like the formula was trying to build a bridge over a canyon that was just too wide and too deep to cross.
And that's the bottom line here. The failure of the CR formula wasn't just another political negotiation that fell through. It was a massive signpost to everybody, the British, the Congress, the League, the public, that the dream of a single, united, independent India was becoming less and less likely. That middle ground Rajahaji had tried so hard to create, it had pretty much disappeared.
And that leaves us with a question to think about. Was this a genuine missed opportunity? A moment where history could have gone a different way if just one or two things had changed? Or was the formula's failure simply the final confirmation of what was already coming, turning the idea of partition from a theory into a political reality? How you answer that really shapes how you see those final fateful years before independence.